Welcome to an episode of Guns 101 brought to you by the Self Defense Radio Network. This is our welcome message to new gun owners. I'm Rob Morse from Self Defense Gun Stories. She's Amanda Sefcool from Eye on the Target Radio. The guy doing the heavy lifting behind the scenes, that's Paul Lathrop from the Polite Society podcast. We have Charlie Cook with us. He's from Riding Shotgun with Charlie. Charlie, who needs to be shot? Guns are a lethal tool. When do you use them? When don't you?
That is a great question. The answer is probably going to be different in every single situation. I know that I became a gun owner because I had people that I needed to protect. And those people were my kids and my wife. And those were the people that, they're the people that I'm responsible for. And I was a gun agnostic before I had kids and before I was married. And that was probably one of the determining things that said, holy moly, I have this little person that I need to protect and I need to raise. And the best way for me to do this is to be able to protect myself with a gun. So I need to learn about gun ownership. I carry a gun and I carry knives and death tools. And death tools to cover them all. I carry death tools to be able to protect me and the kids, and that is kind of the extent of where I draw my line of people that I protect or people that I need to protect. I like to tell people that I might wear tights, but I'm not a superhero. So it is if you are doing something bad to someone that I love, and I'm in fear for that person's life, then I have to protect them. And if putting a piece of lead in them and letting them bleed out is the fastest way for them to stop attacking my kids, then that is what needs to be done. But other than that, it's not my responsibility to protect anyone else, and that doesn't mean that I wouldn't try to intervene or stop someone else that's being attacked. But ultimately, to me, it's not my responsibility to protect other people. It's to protect my kids.
I think that's a very good point. I mean, one of the things that new gun owners need to know, especially if they're in a constitutionally carry state, so they're going to start carrying their gun, or if they've applied for a concealed carry license, done one of those things, having a firearm does not make you an auxiliary police officer. And you should never have a question of when can I shoot? As Rob Morris so eloquently puts it all the time, it's when must I? When I don't have any other option, when I don't have any other choice. When do I have to shoot because I've exhausted all other options?
Yeah, it's if there's no other choice. If it's going to be your loved one dies or you die or the other person, I would like to opt for the other person every single time. But it's not because someone parked too close to me in the parking lot. It's not because someone cut me off in traffic. It's not for any other reason than, holy moly, I'm going to die or my kids are going to die. Other than that, it's not worth it, because I'm going to have to I'm going to get arrested. My name's in the paper. My kids go to school and they'll get harassed by their friends and say, oh, your dad thinks he's Batman, or your dad thinks he's the Punisher, or your dad's a vigilante and he's out there killing people. Yeah, no, it's not for any of that, other than I was in fear for my life. I was in fear for the life of my kids. I needed to protect them. The other thing is I'm going to get arrested. I'm going to get the new handcuffs or the new jewelry. I get arrested. I go to jail. I have to explain everything. And in the process, I have to pay an attorney. I have to buy an attorney a new house, is the phrase I like to use, because it's going to cost a lot of money to prove that I was justified in shooting this person. It's not like in the movies where you shoot someone, the bad guy falls down dead, and the cops let you go. When the police come to the scene of a shooting, there is a person that, ideally, there's a person that is bleeding, and there's a person with a gun in their hand, and the cops don't know who's the good guy, and the cops don't know who's the bad guy.
Charlie, talk to me about road rage and very polite gun owners.
I may have been a road rage person. Is that a good way to phrase it? After I may have, After I became a gun guy and I carried, again, I carried a death tool with me. I let people merge in front of me. Sure, maybe I push the limit for the speed a little bit, but I don't drive aggressively. If somebody wants to merge in front of me, that's fine. I let them. I actually had a girlfriend who used to blow people kisses when they cut her off, and that's a hard thing that I've tried to adapt. The other thing I do not do is I do not show them who is number one, if you know what I mean. If you want to cut me off, that's fine. It's great. Okay, you're an idiot driver. I'm not going to tailgate you. I'm not going to chase you down. I'm not going to do any of that stuff. Once I started to carry a gun on me, or a gun and knives, I became a lot more relaxed because I know that if things go bad, I have something that could possibly take someone's life, and I don't want to have to use it.
Well, I'll tell you that that's a very good point. I tell my students that by putting a gun on their person, by having it pants on, gun on, that gun, just the act of picking that gun up and putting it on your person should make you a more polite person. Should never make you less polite. It should make you more polite, because you know that you can get out of a situation if you have to, but you don't want to have to. And so it's that if you've got an ego and you've got an attitude, you're allowed to have those, but you're not allowed to have those when you have a gun. So you take the gun out of the drawer, off the shelf, and you put the ego on the shelf. And if you want to carry the ego, you can put the ego back on and you put the gun on the shelf, and you do a swap. But you can't carry an ego and a gun.
Absolutely. I have a very good friend of mine. I talked to him a couple days ago, and he was saying, and I've told him a few years ago, I say, listen, I want you to be a gun owner. I want you to carry a gun, but you get angry a little too quickly, and that would not be a good combination.
Yeah. Amen to that.
Right.
Yeah, it's not for everybody. It like Spider-Man says, with great responsibility. No, with great power comes great responsibility, and I don't get myself in situations where I'm going to have to pull my gun out and use it.
I think
There's no.
that's a really good point right there, is you don't get yourself in circumstances and situations. When you raise your awareness to a point where you're carrying a firearm or you're carrying a death tool, as you say, so a knife or a Kubotan, or it means that you've practiced with it, you've thought about it, and so you then start to think about, am I going into a place where I may have to use this? Maybe I don't need to go there. Maybe, those kinds of things.
Thank you.
Absolutely. I once I started to carry a gun, I started to pay attention to my surroundings. We talk about situational awareness all the time. A little game I played with myself is, when I'm in a store, do I see my friends before my friends see me? And that was a handy game to play every time I go to the store, because I'm always looking around. Do I see anyone I know? Do I see anyone I know? Is there anything that looks weird or not right? And it's an easy game to play when you go to the store. I try to make sure that my friends can't surprise me, but I can surprise them. And honestly, it's also a great avoidance tool too. If there's someone that you don't want to talk to, you just keep on going. You go to the next aisle, you loop back.
That's why I never see you at Gun Rights Policy Conference or SHOT Show.
I might be working the room a little much.
Maybe something like that. That makes a lot. That makes a lot of sense. Is be aware, raise your level of awareness, so a bad situation does not surprise you. That way, you're not put in a situation where you're forced to make those horrific decisions.
There's one more thing I'd like to say. Is after I became a gun owner, my license had a restriction on it, and the chief of police in my town didn't want people in his town carrying guns. When I moved to a different town and I renewed my license, I was able to start to carry. When I first started to carry, it's against all of our rules. We make fun of these people after we've been doing this for a while, but I was one of them. I carried an unloaded gun because it was weird for me to process, oh my God, I have a death tool on me. Ugh, this is a little strange. It's a little awkward. I had to get used to the concept that I had this on me, and I had to get used to, wearing it and putting it in different places and carrying on my hip, I need a little bigger pants, or maybe lose a couple of pounds. It was a little bit of a process before you get to the point where you start to carry a loaded gun. And I know I see all the memes all the time on social media that say, if you're not carrying a loaded gun, then it's useless. And you know what? I get it, but new people need to get used to that concept of carrying a gun and getting used to the weight of it and the feel of it, and make sure it doesn't go off. And if you get a good holster, it's not.
It's a process. So that's a great point. That's a very good point. So folks, tune in for that point and for other points in all of these videos. Guns 101. We've got Charlie Cook from Riding Shotgun with Charlie. You might want to check out his YouTube videos because some of those are pretty funny too. We'll be back with another video.